Well, welcome to Unleash the Potential, where we take thought leaders and entrepreneurs, as well as those that are impacting the way we live in society today. And I've wanted to introduce you to Jon Arnold. I'll get him to do a nice intro about what he does, but he definitely is a thought leader and is all about helping us learn how to unleash the potential. So Jon, perhaps you could just give us a little introduction of what you are doing. I know you got a great podcast, and I've seen a lot of your content. It's amazing. So just take the floor.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Rob, and hi, everybody. I'm new to this network, and Rob has been very kind to help me meet a few new people in the industry, and that's always a good thing, and what goes around comes around. So we will do something on the other end of this with my podcast one of these days, Rob. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Helping where help comes. So I am an independent technology analyst. My company is called Jon Arnold Associates. I'm based here in Toronto. I've been doing this a long time, about 15 years as a solo practitioner. I used to work for one of the bigger analyst firms in the technology space, so I've been grounded in this industry for quite a while here in Toronto. Interestingly though, Rob, my business is mostly based in the US. My clients are typically the vendors or the carriers, helping them bring their technologies to market, mostly for the business audience, not so much consumer. So it's really about helping enterprise and SMB, small businesses, adopt new technologies, right? So it's a lot about what's the business value of the technologies, primarily in the communication space, where they fit, why they should be used, how they should be used. And what started out, at least in my world, Rob, as looking at telephony, which is what the communications world was mostly about 20 years ago, phone systems, PBXs, right? So dominated by a few companies. And now that we've come into the digital generation where telephony has now become VoIP, VoIP, and that's kind of the technology that drives telephony now. But now layers on top of layers keep coming. Every couple of years, there's new stuff. So we've had this trend in the past few years called unified communications, which is the world where all communications apps are in one place, on the desktop or on a phone, where you have your video and your chat and your telephony and your email and your file sharing and your PowerPoints and all those things in one place. It actually is a much more efficient way to work. And so the unified communication space has helped us get into what we call now collaboration. That's a big focus for a lot of businesses these days. So a lot of technologies around that. And then the last couple of years, Rob, as you know, cloud has kind of redefined everything. Then the next wave is AI, which is a big, big part of my focus. And I say big because cloud used to be the big focus, but now there's something even bigger, which is AI. And, filtering all that through now the pandemic and all these really big pivots businesses have had to make, and us as workers, as consumers, pivoting from being in an office to working at home, for enterprises to now adopt this distributed model where everyone is everywhere. We couldn't be doing this without these tools. So what I've been saying for a long time, you asked earlier about what do I spend my time on? Well, this space of collaboration and unified communications, this has been the kind of the glue that makes everything go. If we didn't have these tools, Zoom is what everyone talks about, like what we're doing now on this call, right?
Yeah.
If Zoom wasn't around when this pandemic hit, we'd all be sitting at home doing nothing because we wouldn't be able to work, right? But now everything is digital, everything is cloud, everything is mobile. So now we've shifted to this work from anywhere, work from any device, right? Work has become such a fluid concept now, for better or worse, kind of what we hinted at before, because now, hate to say it, it's convenient. We can keep our jobs and everything, but at the same time, we're always on. And it's almost like if we're not careful, we don't stop working. How many Zoom calls are we on every day, right? It's exhausting.
Yeah, for sure. We're getting digital fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, It's interesting to me though, like I read in 1970, IBM had the first 5 people work from home.
Wow.
And it's like we had this slow incline where, the security department, they're like, like voice over IP. If you selected voice over IP 20 years ago in your organization and it didn't work, you probably got fired. And then now, specifically, we basically had an event, a catalyst that has forced a lot of people to make some significant changes. And you're talking AI, and like a lot of people are still, trying to do payments over the phone with their customers and protect the information. And I think this space has, leapfrog, but there's a lot of work to do. Would you agree?
Oh, totally. And for better or worse, now our kids would be approaching this from a very different point of view. But for our generation, we're what I would generally call digital immigrants, right? We were born, we lived in the analog world of rotary phones and, cable boxes and, cars you could actually repair. And now everything is digital, right? And
Right.
so the thing is, as nice as this technology's been for a lot of reasons, it's moving at a pace that's faster than we can absorb it.
Right.
And that's, it creates opportunities, but it creates real problems. And it's actually the root of a lot of the civil unrest that's happening in the US right now. People aren't calling it that, but there is this digital divide that's happening. And so it's good. People like me will always have work because analysts are needed to kind of explain it all and kind of give
Right.
some context and perspective for this, because we follow these trends. But as you say, the rest of the world has not caught up, right? So there's a lot of people still doing things in legacy technologies and analog methods. Great opportunity for new technologies to come in and automate, reduce cost, improve accuracy, all of these things. But if we're not careful, it's going to also eliminate a lot of jobs. And obviously it has, but new
Yeah.
jobs will emerge, new careers will emerge, and it's going to be, you can't just like sit and just take what you have and keep using it. So there's some risks to that, but also wonderful opportunities. You look at some of these companies that have come out of nowhere, they can become billion-dollar companies overnight because they're hitting the market, like the pandemic. Like it's ruined so many businesses. You don't even need to go there. But on the other hand, talk to Peloton.
Yeah.
Companies like that, fitness equipment, they couldn't be happier, right? These technologies I talk about, unified communications, right place, right time.
Yeah.
These are the tools we need. So there's opportunities, but there's casualties along the way. And obviously we want to be on the right side of that ledger. And so you got to pay attention to what's going on, right?
Yeah, like my hope is the future is really things like communicating becomes just a commonplace, and then allows us to actually focus on really important problems to solve. I mean, I was just talking to a radio frequency engineer who is working on 5G, and he basically was like, I don't think I'm going to have a job in the next couple of years because it's a self-healing network and it just kind of figures it all out itself based on software. And where it was an art and a science before, now there's an AI app that's learning it through looking at the pages of access submission spots. And so he was just kind of freaked out. But I'm thinking, here's a guy who's really intelligent, and he's basically, that's the reason AI is doing it, because it probably wasn't high value work. Now he can focus his thought process on higher value work that's going to help us all in the future. So I'm really kind of excited. You and I have like a leading, like you said, like we're ahead of the curve. We actually understand this stuff. There's still a lot of people we have to drag with us. It'll come through time, but things like what you're doing, your podcast, you're informing enterprises about product market fit, where they need to be, putting out white papers, talking as a thought leader, I think adds lots of value to get us along the path. And but the thing is, I don't know a lot of guys like you, John. Like, there's a lot of people who all work in their little silos, but there's nobody looking at macro.
Mhm.
So you must be really busy, but in Canada, like, do you get any requests at the moment? Or because we're starting to spend, what, Bell's going to build $4.5 billion network for 5G and fiber. And
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Rob. Yeah, I mean, we should. I'm always. I'll do work wherever the work is. I would love to be doing more with Canadian companies, and I do work with some of them. I do, not as much as I would like. I just happen to find that the circles I travel in the U.S., that's where the analysts are kept the most busy. And for what it's worth, I am the only independent technology analyst in all of Canada in
wow.
looking at communications technology. So I'm a bit of a rare bird, but I want to come back to one of your points about the, how all this changes is you got to look at it. So TELUS had a good tagline a few years ago, the future is friendly.
Yeah.
And, it's how you approach this stuff. If you approach things like AI as it's just for efficiency and automation, it's going to be a job killer. And you start doing this top down into an organization, well, you're going to kill morale really fast because everyone's going to see it as a threat, right?
Right.
But if this friendly thing, so what I always tell companies is the best way to market AI is to not call it AI. Just
Right.
talk about what it does, not how it does it. Like VoIP is the same way. VoIP had a real stigma around it because it was not really up to par early on. So as soon as you called it VoIP, deal killer because oh,
Yeah.
that's a hobby technology, not good enough.
Yeah.
Now it's no one even thinks twice about it, but no one calls it VoIP either. It's just telephony. So
Exactly.
AI will find its way like that. So make that future friendly to me is like the best thing you can do. As I said before, because the technology is further and faster along than most people can handle, it's not friendly to them. So
Right.
don't let them get worried about it. Just focus on the benefits, the outcomes. They'll get it. They'll follow it along. And our kids, they already get it. So you don't have to worry about them. The future can be very bright for them if it's more native to them. So it's going to be different.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about the future as you are, and I'm sure there'll be people say to me, "But Rob, we don't have fiber in our homes." And but my whole thing is all these things are happening in parallel. Great things don't happen overnight. It takes a long time to build infrastructure, like,
It's
and it's a bottom up infrastructure, which is what we like, open internet and open. So, the opposite of that is top down, which means control and a whole bunch of other issues. So I think that over time, it will happen. We're going to have low Earth orbit satellites in some places. Some places we're going to have fiber. Some companies are going to have machine learning and for their call centers, and some of them are still going to use the phone. And
exactly.
so
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have met you, John. And I wanted to just give you the opportunity to tell some of the viewers that I have how to reach you.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, and I'm very happy to be here. This is really nice to be part of your podcast kind of network and to get just share some of this. I'm happy to tell my story and what I see out there to anybody. It's it doesn't matter if it's Canadian, US, overseas, whatever. So I'm easy to find. You can search me anywhere, but my website's the good starting point, and it's jarnoldassociates.com. And if you find that, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. Arnold John is my handle there. LinkedIn, very easy to find. And once you get to my website, folks, then it's easy to see what I do. You can get my newsletters there, my podcasts, and read up about the other things I do. And of course, understand what I do with clients, how I work with them, the kind of services I provide. And sure, Rob, and let's do this again and
Yeah.
just keep getting the word out, right? Technology, can be for good, that's for sure. And you just got to understand it like anything else, right?
Well, thank you, John, and thank you, listeners. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also will be putting this on Spotify. And here we go again. Actually, the future is a lot friendlier than Jon even says. And so thank you. Listen to this, learn something, and I'll leave you be.